Good day, everyone, and God bless all of you. My name is Dr. Alex British Chinedu Tasie from Isiokpo community, which is in Ikwere local government area of Rivers State of Nigeria, West Africa. And by the grace of God, I am a writer, a musician, a filmmaker, a football coach, a historian, and a multidimensional thinker. I am also a proud, self-appointed, self-acclaimed president of the Nigerian semi-educated class. The class of the Nigerian people that you say and think is not well educated, is not highly educated. Members of that group, members of that class in Nigeria that you say are not well educated people, are not highly educated people. I am a proud, self-appointed, self-acclaimed president of that group in Nigeria. I am also a notable Ikwere historian. What I have here to discuss is about a notable kingdom in Ikwere land, in Nigeria and in Rivers State, called Isiokpo Ancient Kingdom. Isiokpo Ancient Kingdom. I want to discuss about the land and people of Isiokpo Ancient Kingdom. The essence of this program or this topic is not to compare Isiokpo with any other Ikwere community. It is not at all to compare Isiokpo people with any other people in Nigeria, but to avail the people of the world the opportunity to know better the land and people of Isiokpo Ancient Kingdom. Isiokpo is a prominent member of the Ikwere ethnic nationality, and so Isiokpo people have a lot in common with other Ikwere people. They share a lot in common. Isiokpo people see every other part of Ikwere as their own people, as their brothers and as their sisters, and every other part of Ikwere, which I am very, very sure, sees Isiokpo people as their brothers and as their sisters. Isiokpo is geographically located almost at the center of Ikwere land. When you calculate the distance from Isiokpo to the Port Harcourt City mainland, and also calculate the distance from Isiokpo to Omerelu community, a sister Ikwere community, that shares boundary with the Igbo of Imo State. Around that area, you will agree that Isiokpo is almost at the center of Ikwere land. And that was why in the past, the white people, gave Isiokpo the status of Ikwere's central headquarters. That was what Isiokpo was addressed in the past. Ikwere's central headquarters. The people of Isiokpo engage in traditional economic activities for their survival, like traditional hunting, traditional fishing, and traditional farming. These are their main, economic stays, their main economic activities that they engage in, to survive. There are some shallow and deep waters, located at different portions of Isiokpo ancient kingdom. And so the people use those natural benefits to make a living for themselves. The demographic status of Isiokpo ancient kingdom has not yet been upgraded because there has not been any recent population census so far conducted to know the actual people who live in Isiokpo, who are Isiokpo people originally. Although the birth rate is exponential, but to ascertain the number of persons that are called Isiokpo people originally, it's not there. It's not there at all. Isiokpo people have a lot of respect for other Ikwere and non-Ikwere communities. They regard them and they respect them too. The land of Isiokpo has been generous to its children from the beginning of time, because in every generation, the land will churn out people of prominence, people of great resource, who carry the name of Isiokpo about. So the land has been generous. The weather conditions are friendly, and so the people farm and farm well, and during harvest they have bumper harvest. The people of Isiokpo have a brand of Ikwere dialect, that they use. They have their own brand of dialect, of Ikwere language that is synonymous, to them and some other Ikwere communities like Omagwa, Iguruta, and Alo. So this particular dialect of Ikwere language is synonymous, with the people of Isiokpo, Omagwa, Alo, and Iguruta. Ikwere language is a recognized language in Nigeria because the people of Ikwere have their own orthograph recognized by the Federal Constitution of Nigeria, and so the people of Isiokpo have their own dialect of the language, Isiokpo ancient kingdom was founded principally by one man and his wife. And that man is called Wagidi Ibia, who hailed and migrated out from Benin and moved to the area that today we can find Ikwere people. We can find Isiokpo people. Wagidi came with his wife called Asare, whose origin is Abo in Delta State. So when he arrived and settled at the place, where we have the Nigerian prisons compound, before Elele community, that was the first place that Wagidi Ibia settled with his wife. So when he arrived, they gave birth to a son called Okpo. So Okpo later became Okpo Wagidi. Okpo married a woman from Kalabari Kingdom called Omaiye. Okpo and Omaiye gave birth to two male children called Ishi and Agwa. Ishi means head. Agwa means the tail. So Ishi is the father of Isiokpo kingdom. And Agwa is the progenitor of Omagwa community in Ikwere land. And what it means is that Isiokpo people and Omagwa people are blood brothers and sisters. They all came out from one ancestral father called Okpo Wagidi. Ishi gave birth to 9 children. The villages that make up Isiokpo today are 9 villages. And the children of Isiokpo live in between 2 major natural waters called Mini Oro and Mini Ohia. The Mini Oro, which has an example like the Orie Obojo River, the one you see before Isiokpo roundabout proper, gushes out from the ground around the boundary between Isiokpo and Omawa community. It flows out from the ground and runs towards the Aheke River. And the Mini Ohia is the one that gushes out from the ground too before you get to the boundary with Obele. Obele people do not have any natural water that runs from that angle. So that water gushes out from the ground and also terminates at the Aheke. So these 2 natural waters give Isiokpo people water and fish. And so the children of Ishi live in between these 2 natural waters. In Isiokpo ancient kingdom, everybody there agrees that Ishi is the founder of what we call today Isiokpo kingdom. He is the head, although his father and his grandfather Wagidi Abia instituted the land, but the direct father of Isiokpo ancient kingdom is Ishi Obo. And Ishi means head. The proper pronunciation of Isiokpo used to be Isiokpo, the head of Obo. In the past, our brothers and sisters from Igbo land who live, amongst the people of Ikwere land, corrupted so many original Ikwere names and titles. For example, a village in Isiokpo called Adanti, a small daughter, was changed Adanta, small daughter, by the arrows in the 1800s. Adanta instead of Adanti. A community like Omagwa in the past used to be Amagwa. A community like Emogwa used to be called in the past by the Igbo Amafo. A community like Omerelu used to be called Omalelu. A community like Iguruta used to be called in the past by the Igbo Ingirita. Romu Okoro used to be called Omu Okoro. Romu Okorosi used to be called Omu Okorosi, and so on and so forth. I will not say that it was mischievous, for the Igbo to call these names and titles the way they call them. No. I see that is where they decided to call it. That's what they decided. But I don't sense any mischief why they called it. But if you look at some of their complaints, associated with the reversal of these names to their original names and titles by the Igbo, it might point to the fact that they are not happy. But what they should know is that every ethnic nationality, every group of people in the world must have their variations in terms of dialect and all that. You don't expect everything to be homogeneous, no. So the people of Diob, Port Harcourt City, use Romo to mean children. And from Igruta down to Omarelu, they use Omo to mean children, So there's no need of quarreling when you hear people say they are called or addressed as Romo. You begin to get angry. That is not necessary. That apart, Isiokpo emerged as a product of the making of Isiokpo. Ishi. So Ishi, as I have said, is the father of Isiokpo people. In the past, Isiokpo was rated as a very powerful and prominent kingdom in Nigeria because it has a long history. For example, Isiokpo people first witnessed white people in their land before every other Ikwere community. In the year of 1784, the Portuguese arrived in Isiokpo, ancient kingdom. They stayed briefly and they left. They came mainly for economic activity. In the year of 1842 or thereabouts, another set of European people, this time the British, came to Isiokpo. When they came, they were received by the king and elders of Isiokpo, ancient kingdom, at the Ayeke waterfront. So when they came, they now initiated a road project to connect the Igbo in their place, the hinterland people, to the coastal people, especially as a trade route. The late Oha, Mark Idimpa from Adanta Isiokpo, who died in the year of 2016, at the age of 107 years, said that his own grandfather was among the able-bodied youths that carried the white people on their shoulders, when that road was being constructed, So, in the year of 1864 or thereabouts, the British visited Isiokpo again, and this time they were received by some Isiokpo and Ikwere prominent chiefs. People like the late Mpi Ikuga, the late Chukwigwe Ogwehi, the late Wogu Wokeke, the late Chief Agbara Eke from Woji, the late Chief Elechi from Elele, the strong man from Alimini, Isiokpo called, Wehuje, Wezog, and some other chiefs from Omagwa and Iba came to Isiokpo to receive the white people. So when they came, they had a peace treaty with the white people, and the white people used the road that they constructed for their economic activities, mainly slave trade activity, and they left. About the year of 1894 to about the year of 1920, there were about 15 to 16 prominent Isiokpo people that came out during that era as big personalities in Nigeria. The late Chief Amadi Enwenya from Omeke, Isiokpo, was the first Ikwere person to build a story building, a massive building of bond bricks in the year of 1894. That house was leveled down during the Nigerian Biafran hostilities. The one that is still sitting in that compound, that is still there, is the one erected by his son called Echong Amade in the year of 1901. So about the year of 1894 to about 1920, people like Wobodo Wejinya, from Obodo, Ikerion Azubike, Jack Opanama, Tasie Oluwemeke, Marcos, Oluowo, so many of them, Amade Chong, so many of them, Wardwo Kekita from Opanitme village, Madume Ojirimano, so many of them arrived as big personalities in Nigeria because a majority of them were big-time farmers, oil trade business people and government workers. They worked as interpreters and court clerks, so they made money before even the amalgamation of Nigeria in the year of 1914. So many Isiokpo and so many Ikwere people, arrived as big personalities in Nigeria. Isiokpo has an imposing status because the community or the kingdom is a big one. It's a big one. Isiokpo ancient kingdom is a startup of so many Ikwere cultural and traditional, practices, of which the Eri Obo is one of them. The thumb piano, called Eri Obo in Ikwere, was first performed by the man called Jonah Chukwuka. The compound immediately after the United Bank for Africa in Isiokpo. Jonah Chukwuka was the first to perform the Eri Obo thumb piano in the year of 1937. So it has its origin in Isiokpo. And so the ninth traditional marriage system, where bride price, and other things associated with nuptial relationship, is done, started in Isiokpo. When I visited Chief Damian Eweje from Igruta community, and the late His Royal Majesty Eze S.N. Wale, the former paramount ruler of Apara Kingdom, to know about how it started. They told me that it was in Isiokpo for the first time that they saw the ninth pattern of traditional marriage. Ota, Egelege, Ite, traditional wrestling started first in Isiokpo, ancient kingdom, by one Mr. Wakrika Egon, and that is why in Ikwere land, Isiokpo is the first community to begin the wrestling festival before every other Ikwere community. They still accord Isiokpo that respect and regard. The New Yam festival or ceremony first started in Isiokpo. According to one prominent chief in Ikwere that is late now, in the person of His Royal Highness Eze Godwin Chinyere Onyeka, the former paramount ruler of Omudioga community, told me one-on-one that Isiokpo, was the first place where he saw that. The Eri Elewenenzi, a dance for the women folk, was first started in Isiokpo in the year of 1927. Today it has gone viral. Isiokpo people also started what was called Obako Oha Otutu, the gathering of the people in the morning to discuss their affairs. That became dead in the early 1970s, immediately after the Civil War. In the past, people of adult age used to come out at that Eziwakrika, gather there and discuss the affairs of the community. Whatever one has to advertise, it was advertised. So many of that. Isiokpo has also copied a lot from other Ikwere communities. For example, the Erebu, the traditional xylophone that people play, was brought into Isiokpo from Iba community. The Watam that they play was brought into Isiokpo from Opobo. The Oboni was brought into Isiokpo from Alo. The Mau, Ojon, and all that came from Igbo land. So there has been this cultural exchange between Isiokpo people and other Nigerian communities. You know, Isiokpo significantly was like the startup of Western civilization and development in Ikwe land. But I must have to say it here that the emergence of Western civilization or development in Ikwe land that started in Isiokpo was not actually initiated or a handiwork of Isiokpo people, but the Europeans. For example, the first native court built in Ikwe land was that of Alekonsin Native Court in Kanahia Isiokpo, 1902. The first primary school established in Ikwe land, is the St. Peter's Primary School, 1906. The first church, the Anglican, established by the Church Missionary Society, was in Isiokpo first. So school, the church, and the court were all established in Isiokpo by the Europeans and not by Isiokpo people. So from about the year of 1890 to about the year of 1930, there were more than 20 Europeans that lived in Isiokpo, especially at the place we have the court premises today in Isiokpo. They were there as court workers, and as church workers too, So, Isiokpo, as I have said, is a prominent kingdom in Ikwe land. And this is not the platform to begin to mention all the personalities that have come out from Isiokpo, but I must have to mention a few, like the man who reigned very mightily in the 1930s, early 1930s, called King Wago Imemwo. He assisted the Europeans to root their developments in Isiokpo. He was powerful at that time, He used to organize this New Yam festival, and in synergy, in good relationship, so many other Ikwe communities came to Isiokpo to be part of that ceremony, The late King Jackson Aleruchi Mpe was a prominent figure in Nigeria. He was at some point the chairman of the Eastern Council of Chiefs and also the overall paramount ruler of the entire Ikwe ethnic nationality. The late Chief John Amabebe Nsirim, who was a very powerful figure during that time too, hailed from Isiokpo. And so we have the late Ohamak Aidimba, from Adanta Isiokpo, who was one of the first people to go to university in Eastern region, in the year of 1948. He proceeded to Leeds University to study local government administration and finance for a diploma certificate. And one interesting thing is that he was a classmate to the late Saduana of Sokoto, Alhaji, the late Saduana of Sokoto. I remember his name. He was a classmate of Alhaji Amadu Bello, the Saduana of Sokoto. So in the year of 1951, he came back to Nigeria and was employed in Shell, BP. And one interesting thing again is that he principally convinced the authorities of Shell to move their headquarters from Owerri, where in erstwhile the late Chief Louis Ojukwu had domiciled it, to Port Harcourt. He convinced them that Shell will be better off situated around the newly discovered oil fields of Awasa. So Shell listened to him and they moved out the headquarters to Port Harcourt, its present headquarters now. And when you go to Shell residential area, you see a hall there called Mark Dimpa Hall, in memory of him. The late Mr. John Emejuru Owochukwu, was a pioneer, a student of a university established in Nigeria at that time, in the year of 1948, called the University College of Ibadan. So he was there even before the time of Sikh and others. In the year of 1948, he gained admission to become, a student of that premier university. And later in life, emerged as the first principal, secondary school principal to come from Ikwereland. So there are so many others. Isiokpo is a powerful kingdom. It is a kingdom because it found out so many other big communities in Ikwere and outside Ikwere. And that is the crux of this discussion. This topic, this is now the heart of it. Isiokpo is not only a kingdom, as we have it today in what we call Isiokpo community in Ikwere local government area. It was a very, very mighty and powerful kingdom, very big. The population was very awesome in the past. But some people left the kingdom to go to establish other areas in Nigeria. One of the communities in Ikwere that is originally from Isiokpo is a community called Ozuaha community in Ikwere local government area of Rivers State of Nigeria. In the year of 2009, I visited that community with one of my good friends, an academic, in the person of the late Dr. Kingsley Okechukwu Amade from Mbolu or Oroko, Dr. K.O., a former provost of the Rivers State College of Education. When we reached there, we were told by the paramount ruler of the community, called His Highness Eze Ibenemewosu, and his council members, that Ozuaha people are originally Isiokpo people, especially from Mbuohana village. And according to a prominent chief of that community, in the person of Chief Luke Wabara, he narrated that in the past, when Isiokpo people have what they call their Ozu, that Ozuaha person must be there to stay by the side of the Isiokpo king to conduct that Ozu. And some other Ozuaha people told me that in the past, for you to bury an Isiokpo king, that an Ozuaha person must be there to witness the burial, because the founder of Ozuaha, called Ohana, is the father of Ozuaha people. The founder of Ohana in Isiokpo is also the father of Ozuaha people, called Ohana. So they are Isiokpo people. Another community in Ikwere that is originally Isiokpo is called Rumuji community in Emowa local government area of Rivers State. In the year of 2010, I went to that village to know their roots. And one prominent chief in that community, in the person of the late Chief G.C. Ihunwo, JP, told me that apart from one family in Rumuji, that the rest of them are Isiokpo people originally. The late paramount ruler of Ovogo, or Romeho, I think so. The name is the late His Royal Highness Eze Okanezi Wesomono, I think so, told me in his house that a majority of Rumuji people are Isiokpo people. Another community that is originally from Isiokpo is called Mbola and Indele. Mbola is a small community in Indele. When I went to that place in the year of 2012 to know about them, the paramount ruler of that community, in the person of Chief Gideon Omodo, told me one-on-one that Mbola people are from Nkanaya Isiokpo. Another community is called Romomoy community in Apara. Romomoy is a community between or in between Romibo and Romola along the psychiatric road. The late His Royal Highness Eze Okabie, the paramount ruler of that community, told me that the people of Romomoy came from Adanta village in Isiokpo ancient kingdom to settle at the place where they settled. To collaborate the story, I visited the paramount ruler of Apara Kingdom at the time, called His Royal Majesty Eze S. Nwale, who told me how the people of Romomoy came to Apara land. Another prominent community that the knowledge is there is general about the affiliation to Isiokpo is called Rumweme. Rumweme Kingdom, from Boshimini, Akwaka, and all that, all are Isiokpo people originally. In the year of 2010, I went to the house of the paramount ruler of that kingdom in the person of the late His Royal Majesty Eze Omunakwe Nsirim, called Apit I of Rume Kingdom, with my friend called Eze Professor S.N. Weke, the paramount ruler of Iguta community, to know their roots. And the paramount ruler, His Majesty Eze Omunakwe Nsirim, and his council members narrated how they came to Rumeme to be, how they came there to live, and that it was as a result of the Rumwerenta War that took place at that time, where the people of Rumeprecom, ran to the king of Isiokpo for military support, when they were attacked by the Rumwerenta people, So because Chief Eprecom married the first daughter of Nkanaya Isiokpo, so it was easy, for his request to be granted. And so, able-bodied people were assembled at the palace of the Isiokpo king at the time, and they were dispatched to Aparaland to help the people, overcome their challenge at the time. And so, when the war ended, they now requested from the Isiokpo people that came for that military assistance to stay by in case of, any reprisal attack, and that's how they are there, A community like Igbo is generally believed by Isiokpo people as their brother and as their sister, blood-wise, The story is that Opo Wagedi, gave birth to Igbo, and that his original name was Opo, that Opo decided to give one of his children his own name. And so when Igbo was born, he gave him the name Opo, When I visited the house of Chief James Amadi, the traditional prime minister from Omagwa community, to tell me stories about Omagwa and the Igbo. He told me that Igbo people are connected to Omagwa and Omagwa connected to Isiokpo. So when it was time to establish the international, airport in Ikwere, the late Chief S.A.J. Wachuku, from Obodeshobo, influenced the siting of that project in Igbo land because, according to him, Igbo people and Isiokpo people are one people. The outside Ikwere, there are some other communities that are originally from Isiokpo ancient kingdom. And one of such communities in what we call today Imo State is Nkanaha Ohaji. Nkanaha Ohaji is a community in between Umuagwo and Umuabu. If you're going to Owerri by the left. In the year of 2011, I went to that community with the late Dr. K.O. Amadi to know their roots. And they told me in a full house that they migrated out from Nkanaha, Isiokpo, Nkanaha village in Isiokpo. They told me, or they told us, the epidemic that struck at that time, and they decided to move out. The founder of that place decided to move out to establish what we call today Nkanaha Ohaji. So when we were coming back, we received plenty of gifts from them. In the same year of 2010, I headed to another Isiokpo community outside Ikwere land called Isiokpo Autonomous Community in Akoro, Idato, Oboduku, Isiokpo Autonomous Community. It was during their New Yam Festival, I went there with two of my good friends in the person of Mr. Asondo Amadi. His Facebook name is OJ Amadi. He's a police officer now, also popularly called Homeboy. And one of my friends from Imo State called I've forgotten that his name, Chubuzo Ononobo. Yes, that's his name. Mr. Chubuzo Ononobo from Ohohia in Mbiri, Imo State. And the paramount ruler of that community, in the person of His Royal Highness Eze Afonse Amanse, Eze Dike One of Isiokpo Autonomous Community, Aboro Idato, told all of us how they are connected to Isiokpo of Ikwere, that they are one people, that they migrated out from Isiokpo of Ikwere, and that after the Nigerian Civil War, that they came to Isiokpo of Ikwere to have some supplies, and that they were attended to very, very well, So these people are Isiokpo people by origin, and that is why Isiokpo is a very powerful kingdom, because it found out so many other big communities in Ikwere land and outside Ikwere land. It is not a kingdom like every other kingdom. It is a kingdom because it is ruled by, a king. It is ruled by a king. And also because the kingdom found out so many other big communities. So that is why Isiokpo is respected. When you have, a prominent figure from any of these mentioned Isiokpo affiliates, offshoots, it means that Isiokpo is also adding up, is also growing, because they are all one people biologically. They are children of Wagide, Ibia, the children of Obo Wagide, and the children of Isiokpo. Chief James Amade, who is the traditional prime minister of Omagwa, during one-on-one discussion on this issue, told me that the name of the wife of Ishi, being the mother of Isiokpo and Omagwa, is called, I want to use the word is, is called Mwire. Mwire, that's the mother of Isiokpo and Omagwa. And when she died, Isiokpo and Omagwa decided to bury her at the place they share boundary between them. So the stool of Isiokpo is called Wagi, the stool, and the stool of Omagwa is called Opo stool. They are one people. So people like His Excellency, Chief Barrister Nyesom Wike, Chief Barrister Anubum Onoha, are grandchildren of Isiokpo. They are grandchildren of Isiokpo because the wife of Eperekom hailed from Isiokpo ancient kingdom. If you have a stool, as we have it in Rumeme stool as a first class stool, what it means that Isiokpo has two first class stools. The one occupied by Wagide the 40th in the person of His Royal Majesty is a blessing Wago JP, and that of Ndamati, His Royal Majesty is a Ndamati Nsirim. So they are all there. As we have Duncan Mighty there from Rumeme, he is from Isiokpo. It's from Isiokpo. So that is all about Isiokpo. Isiokpo is very, very central, when it comes to the historical affairs of Ikwere land. It's a prominent Ikwere community or kingdom. As I have said, there is a lot that the people of Isiokpo share in common with other Ikwere communities and kingdoms. They respect them, they regard them, they see all of them as one people. That is the story about Isiokpo ancient kingdom. My name, once again, is Dr. Alex British Chinedu Tasie. And make a